Coach Žugić. On the right is 11, Kalkbrenner. Start with a statement from Greg McDermott.
I mean, a ton of credit to Depaul. I mean, they're shorthanded. They played harder. They were grittier. The one thing we did do a good job of was on the glass on both ends. And that ended up being the difference in the game. But, 13 turnovers, unacceptable. 50% from the field basically in the second half by Depaul is not acceptable. We're going to have to be better. We're going to go into a hornet's nest on Saturday, and if we think this is good enough, we're kidding ourselves.
Questions for the student athletes?
Ryan, I guess knowing how short-handed Depaul was, especially on the interior, how important was it to kind of get you established early and as often as possible, considering the size of the disadvantage?
I think we knew we'd have a little bit of advantage down there, and I think that was a point of topic in practices leading up to this. So, I think the guards just did a good job of looking when I was open or skipping it when there's two guys on me. But, obviously that was going to be a point of emphasis going into the game, and we did a good job of that.
What stands out to you in terms of the things maybe that weren't as sharp that need to be sharper, especially when you go to Xavier this weekend?
It just felt like, just in general for everything we do, is just like a half a step too late or half a second too late on communication. Like, I don't know, obviously there are specific things you can point out, but the overarching theme, I think, for all those things is just not quite sharp enough. Like, not god-awful, but just not sharp enough to win big games, which we're going to have to be sharper to win against teams like Xavier and teams in Big East Tournament and March Madness. So we just got to clean it up a little bit.
Fedor, you obviously got some extended run tonight with Jemiah and early foul trouble. What was that like for you to get out there and get the flow of the game?
It's great being out there. I enjoy it. It's great being out there. I love it. I enjoy it. Tonight was really good for me, getting my groove back before the big tournament starts and before the do-or-die game starts. So, it was just great to be on the court for so long tonight, and, yeah, that's it.
How would you assess defense tonight? The 5-out's obviously tricky with all the space you guys have to cover, but it seemed like they were able to make some plays that normally you guys don't give up.
As Ryan, coach said, it just wasn't sharp enough. I feel like we were missing that focus. It's a lot of switches and a lot of communication we had to do because they were missing their big guys. And, Ryan said we were half a step late a lot of times, which led to scrambling and then them getting threes. I think coach said they shot 50% from three or something like that. So, yeah, we got to be better at that and be more locked in because the teams you're going to be playing soon are, we have to be on the top of our game, basically, yeah.
Ryan, you guys knew coming into tonight that their front court was going to be a little undermanned and undersized. What's that mindset like from tip when you know that it's going to be a night where you're getting fed quite a bit?
In general, I think we usually have an advantage down low, so it's not a big shift in mindset on the offensive end. I know most games we're going to try to establish me down low. I think a bigger thing in these kind of games is, like, they're going to play some different lineups. So on defense, you got to kind of have your different mindset of, okay, I might be playing one defense when this guy's in, another defense when this guy's in. It's just being sharp like that, which, is something we worked on in practice because we kind of knew they'd be shorthanded there. But, yeah, I think the bigger thing is being sharp on defense in that area.
There was some chippiness out there. Did they get you guys off your game, off your focus a little bit, just with kind of how emotional it was out there with maybe some of those plays that were, chippy?
I didn't mind it. They can talk all they want in that aspect.
Is this kind of a good place to be where you guys are frustrated after a 10-point loss? Is that a good place to be to kind of have that standard for yourself?
Yeah, definitely. Especially when you have year after year of consistent success, you definitely hold yourself to a higher standard and the program to a higher standard. So, like Max said in the locker room to us, like, we're happy we won, but, like, we got to be better for these games coming up. So we'll be sharp and focused the next couple days in practice, and we'll be better for the next game.
2 more for the guys.
Last year when you guys went to Xavier, it was kind of a similar deal for them. They were kind of playing for their postseason lives. It's going to be similar this weekend. What can you take anything away from the experience of walking into Cintas against a hungry team that you can use to execute this weekend?
I mean, they're just going to play desperate, and you just got to match that. I mean, in our own sort of way, we're still trying to get position in the Big East and still trying to get as good a seed we can in the Big East tournament. So we got to make that how we play for, like, desperately, and, you know, try to match that for Xavier because, you know, they're on the bubble, and obviously they're a really good team, so we're going to get the best version of them.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you all.
All right, questions for Coach?
You had the 16-3 run in the first half and then the 15-0 run in the second half. Kind of what was happening during those stretches that you maybe didn't see the rest of the game there?
Well, consistent stops. You know, and then, you know, when we get out in transition, whatever their help plan was on Kalkbrenner, it's really hard to put that together in transition. And we're able to get it up the floor and get it into him. And you know, Fred had a couple plays there the first half. And but, you know, Depaul, you know, Coach Holtman's teams don't quit, and they don't beat themselves generally. And then, you know, the 5-guard stuff is, you know, we've seen teams with a perimeter 5 that can shoot it, but I don't know that we really played against 5 guards. And, you know, they hunted kind of a matchup they wanted and then tried to take that matchup to the post. And, you know, when Kalk's out there guarding a 3-point shooter, you don't have that protection. So that's a big reason. The shooting percentage was what it was. You know, our goal going in was to limit 3-point shots, and they did get 22, but 7 of them were from their 2 centers, which we let them shoot. So really, the rest of their guys only got 15 threes, which you know, I was comfortable with because that was the way they were going to beat us if they came in here and made, you know, 13 or 14 threes.
You know, you mentioned that it was a tricky guard matchup-wise, but there obviously was some frustration tonight. What stands out to you in terms of the things that just you felt like were not to your standard?
Yeah, I mean, we were half a step slow and maybe a little late on some communication at times. And then you got them down by 20, and you got a chance to knock them out and miss free throws and, you know, defensive breakdowns, like lack of kind of focus in those situations. So I don't ever want to overreact too much until I watch the film, but I think there's going to be some things I'm not going to like very much that we have to clean up as we move into next week.
Matt, kind of the same thing I asked Brian in Fedor. Is that a good place to be at this time of year where you're frustrated after a win?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I'm not frustrated. I'm happy as hell we won. I mean, it's hard to win, and especially in this league to have 13 wins already. I mean, come on. You know, so I'm thrilled about that. I know this group, and I know they have a standard for themselves, and it's my job to hold them to that standard. So I'm not asking them to do anything that they don't want to do themselves. So we just need to refocus, and I think sometimes human nature, you look at a team's record and you look who's out. But as I told them, this DePaul team didn't quit. They went, you know, the Butler game went right down to the last 6 minutes before Butler created some separation, and, you know, Butler's giving St. John's everything they want tonight. So I'm not surprised that DePaul came in here and played well. You know, there's going to be a 12 to 15 possessions that the guys probably aren't going to enjoy watching on film tomorrow.
You talk about a standard, your 20th win, 10 seasons in a row. What do you have to say about a decade of 20-win seasons here at Creighton?
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. It's we've had a lot of good players, obviously. And, you know, Coach Holtman talked before the game, or one of his assistants, about what a great place this is to play, and you know, how into it the fans are. So, you know, it doesn't happen without everything in place. And, you know, we've got a great fan base and an institution that supported us. And fortunately, we've been able to attract good players.
So to start the second half, you know, obviously it's a 4-point game, so, I mean, it feels like anybody's ball game coming into the second half, but Ryan really kind of took over got himself in position for the guards to find him. He finished well. Like, how big was that sequence where he just kind of stressed you guys?
Yeah, I told him at halftime, I'm not saying you have to throw it in every time you catch it, but you have to look every time you catch it. And we did a better job of getting it up the floor in transition with the pass instead of the dribble, and that created a little bit better passing angle. And, Ryan kept the ball high and made quick decisions, and, guys got him the basketball. So that was the advantage that we had. If they're going to play small on the other end and kind of invert our defense, we had to make sure we made him pay for it on the offensive end. And, that was a difference in the game.
You guys had 21 bench points by the end of the game, 11 after the first half. What does that point production and efficiency from your bench kind of show about their ability to be ready when their name is called?
Yeah, we needed it, because Jason only gets 5 and Jackson 3, and Jemiah's in foul trouble and only gets 5. So some points had to come from somewhere, and fortunately Isaac knocked down some shots, Fedor knocked down some shots, and then Mason, while he didn't score, those 2 offensive rebounds in the first half, which both led to baskets, were a huge turning point for us to create a little bit of separation as we went into halftime.
2 more.
This is the second game in a row Isaac's giving you a real spark, about the same time, about 10-minute mark in the second half. Is it just he's staying ready? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's always ready, and he works on his shot a lot, and defensively he's made great strides, and I kind of go, he and Jackson are going to kind of split time unless one guy's kind of got it going, and then I'm going to roll with it. And Jackson hasn't shot it particularly well the last couple of games, but he's doing other things. Again, he had 8 rebounds last game. He gets 6 rebounds tonight. So Jackson is improving in other areas. He's just kind of going through a stretch where the ball's not going in for him, and I'm confident he'll get out of that.
It's kind of a quick turnaround, but it's probably going to be one of the harder games you guys played on the stretch here, given Xavier's circumstances. What are you expecting out of that this weekend, and how sharp do you need to be to get it out of there?
I mean, we just have to prepare. We prepare like we did when we went to St. John's and when we went to UConn and went to Villanova. You just have to be really on point with understanding the plan and then being ready to execute the plan regardless of the emotion in the building. We've played decent basketball on the road this year. Really, outside of that Georgetown game, everything else has been we've won or been really competitive. So, I expect a really good mental day tomorrow and a good walk, a good run through on Friday to kind of get ready for what we have to do Saturday. And we're staying out this trip, and we saw what Seton Hall led Villanova. I've heard most of the game tonight before Villanova came back and won. So, and they've got a win against UConn at home, so they're playing with a lot more confidence than the first time we saw them. So this is this extended road trip is going to be really important for us.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks.
Thanks, Matt.
Everybody get a bucket?